So theme parks. I've been to a lot of theme parks. I've been to Universal, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, all of them. But there is one park I feel like I do not have enough experience in, and that is Disney World, the most magical place in the world. So I'm gonna ride every single ride in Disney World in just one day. This was the worst idea I've ever done in my life. Now, how was I able to achieve something so stupid like this? Well, one of the biggest factors is I spent a lot of money. I think I had to spend around $1,000 to actually do this. Luckily, I'm a very rich man, so that was just pocket change for a guy like myself. But if you do not have money, do not attempt this. So what I had to waste money on was an annual pass and even more money on Lightning Lane. Lightning Lane is the fast pass in Disney World that is going to allow me to skip lines. So if I do not have this pass, this challenge is not going to be possible. There are 3 different Lightning Lane tiers and I bought all 3 of them. I'm not going to get into the breakdown on how all of these work, but that is going to help me a lot in this challenge. I have to ride all rides in a single day, so I was either speed walking or just straight up running. I only stopped for bathroom breaks and water breaks. There is no such thing as stopping for a meal in this challenge because eating is a waste of time here. Yeah, it's a bit unhealthy, but welcome to the challenge. Ooh, I forgot to mention, I bought a Disney hotel. Man, I really bought a Disney hotel just to do a stupid challenge. This is so stupid. So right now, as you can see, we're in the hotel. It's a pretty nice hotel room. I'm not gonna lie, this was the cheapest one I got because I only need this just so I can get extended evening hours. I guess I'm gonna spend the night here though because I had to pay for it. So Disney, if you're watching this, I'm never gonna forgive you for this. I had to spend so much money just to get extended evening hours. If you didn't catch on, you may be asking, why did I buy a Disney hotel? Well, if you buy a Disney Deluxe Resort Hotel in Disney World, you're able to get early entry and extended evening hours. Now, my plan with this is to enter Animal Kingdom 30 minutes early with my early entry. Then I'm going to use my extended evening hours in Magic Kingdom, so I'll be going to that park last. The Magic Kingdom officially closes at 11 p.m., but with extended evening hours, I'm able to stay there until 1 a.m. Now, one thing I want to point out is I am only going on rides. I'm not going to be doing anything else like shows, only rides. Also, if there's a ride you see I did not go on, that either means it was permanently closed down or it's under renovations. I can't do anything about that. There's always gonna be rides closing down in Disney World, and that's gonna be normal. One ride that did close down was the Liberty Boat ride, and I was not gonna count that as a ride even if it was open. That ride is just way too long, and I do not see that as a standard ride. This also goes with the Safari ride. This ride is still open, but I'm not gonna ride this because I don't see this as a standard ride. This ride can vary on its length. Sometimes it can be from 18 to maybe even 30 minutes long. I just don't see that as a ride. All you're doing is just sightseeing animals. This is not a standard ride. So if there's a problem with that, I'm just gonna let you know, I do not care. But either way, it doesn't matter. I'm still riding over 40 rides in Disney World in a single day. A very important factor I had to consider in this challenge was the time of the year I actually go. I chose to go in early September because late August and early September are going to be considered the slowest days to go in Disney World. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are considered to be the slowest days of the week to go to Disney World, so I went on a Wednesday. And another thing about this challenge is I do not have a strict itinerary on what rides I'm doing in order. Really, the only thing I know is I'm going to Animal Kingdom first, then Epcot, then Hollywood Studios, then Magic Kingdom. Without further ado, let's ride every single ride in Disney World in just one day.
All right, it is 6:16 in the morning. Now, I'm a little bit tired right now. I only got 6 hours of sleep, which is not too bad, but I kind of got back at the hotel kind of late.
After having a lovely night's rest, I left the hotel, then headed straight for Animal Kingdom. I got to Animal Kingdom at around 6:40 in the morning, and that was actually a pretty good time to get there because there was a line forming. My goal was to get to the Navi River first, as this ride gets packed later on in the day, and I do not have a Lightning Lane on this, so I had to get this out of the way first. And I had to move really fast here because everybody was just rushing because everybody wanted to be first in line, so I had to go really fast here. And I ended up being the 3rd person to get on this ride, which is pretty good for the amount of people that were here in opening. This ride is all right in my opinion. I don't really get the big hype about it. I mean, there's some cool things to look at, but that's just really it. It's just some eye candy. And with that ride out of the way, we still had over 40 rides to go on. So I just started zooming. I was just booking it. So I went on the Everest ride. I knocked that out of the way. There was no wait time on that at all. Then I started zooming straight for a dinosaur. And there's pretty much no wait time in this ride either. We we just had to watch the video, then after that we hopped on the ride. And I actually like this ride. It's a pretty fun ride. Next up, I went to the Flight of Passage where I used my first Lightning Lane on. I had a Lightning Lane single pass reserved for this ride, and even with this Lightning Lane, it still took a little over 10 minutes to actually get on this ride. This ride is just really busy, so even with a Lightning Lane on it, it's still gonna take a little bit longer than normal to actually get on this ride. I also was not a big fan of this ride at all. The reason is, I just hate 3D simulations. I've just never been a fan of 3D simulations. They're fake, they're uncreative, they're lazy. It's not even a real ride. Like, what are we doing? Why are these so popular? Why do we keep making these still? Sometimes they can be done right, but I prefer to be on a ride that's like actually real. Like this ride, you're just watching a movie in POV. I also get a bit of motion sickness, so I got a little bit dizzy after this ride. Lastly, I went to the Cali River Rapids, which did not open up until around 9 a.m. So I had to wait a few minutes outside the ride until it opened. And when the ride opened, I got on basically immediately, and that was that. And with that ride being completed, we finally finished Animal Kingdom. So I just started running out of the park. I was making great time, so I had to keep going. I could not stop now. So I hopped on my car and I headed straight for Epcot. I arrived at Epcot at around 9:40, and I had to figure out where I was going to go first because I did not have a strict itinerary on which rides I was going to go on. I decided to go on Living with the Land first because there was no wait time on this at all. This was a nice and relaxing ride. The only problem was it took over 10 minutes, and of course, the challenge we're doing right now, time is not our friend, so riding this ride just feels a little bit time consuming. After finishing Living with the Land, I used my first multi-pass Lightning Lane on Frozen Ever After. As soon as I used this Lightning Lane, I made my next reservation immediately, and luckily this ride had no wait time on it at all with the Lightning Lane. Next up, I went to Mission Space where I also had a Lightning Lane on. There are two versions of this ride, the hardcore version and the easy version, and of course I chose the hardcore version. And I'm gonna say that was a mistake. I got pretty sick after this for a little bit. That was awful. And this ride crushed all my dreams forever visiting space. If I can't handle this, I will not be able to handle the real thing. This ride made me hate space. I went to the Guardians of the Galaxy ride next, but they didn't let me on because I went there a little bit too early for my Lightning Lane reservation, so I went to the Grand Fiesta Tour next. I was still feeling a little bit dizzy after the space ride still, but luckily, riding this ride started to make me feel a little bit better, and there was no wait time on this at all. And just like Living with the Land, this ride is very nice and relaxing. The only problem is, it's a little bit time consuming. I think it took a little over 10 minutes to actually finish this ride. But of course, in the meantime, I was planning on what rides I was going to go on next. And the ride I decided to go on next was Ratatouille. This ride is completely out of the way. I had to run all the way to the other side of the park, and unfortunately, right when I got there, the ride just closed down. This is where the challenge started to get a little bit scary, as I learned rides can just close down without any notice, so I had no time to waste, so I ran straight to Guardians. I had my Lightning Lane single pass reserved for this ride, so I had no wait time with this at all, and I think I'm gonna say this is my favorite ride at Disney at this point. I actually enjoyed this ride, so this was the best ride so far. Next, I went to Soarin' Around the World, and of course it was a 3D simulation, so I didn't care for this ride. Then I went to Figment, which had no wait time at all. That was a very weird ride. Then I went to Nemo, which I had a Lightning Lane on, and there was no wait time on that at all with the Lightning Lane. And after I was done with these rides, I checked my Disney app, and I saw the Ratatouille ride was back up, so I just started running over there. I went on the single riders line because there's basically no wait time for that at all. Lastly, I only had one more ride to ride on, and that was Test Track. I was not able to get a Lightning Lane for this ride until 6 p.m., and it was about 1 p.m. at the time. So I had two options right now. I either wait in the line right now for about an hour, or I just come back to the park at around 6 p.m. and use my Lightning Lane then. I decided to just wait in the line now, as backtracking may be very time consuming. And luckily, I made the right call. I only waited maybe around 40 minutes, honestly. And with that ride being done, we were done with Epcot. I wasted a lot of time in that line, so I had to get out of this park right now, so I just started running. As I was exiting the park, this is where my feet started to hurt really bad. Like, it was really bad, but I could not stop now. I kept going. I made it to my car in the parking lot, then I headed straight for Hollywood Studios. Once I parked at Hollywood Studios, I took a few bites out of my leftovers from the other night, then I was ready to go. I arrived at Hollywood Studios at around 2:50, and I was able to get a Lightning Lane on every single ride here, so this park was looking very promising. The first ride I went on was Rock and Roller Coaster, which I was looking forward to because I really like roller coasters, and it was really only fun in the beginning. There was a big boost in the beginning, but after that, it kind of just fell off. I bolted off to Mickey's Runaway Railroad next, and it was an alright ride overall. I'm more into thrill rides. This is more of a visual ride, so it's not really my type of ride. Overall, it was okay. Next up, I went to Toy Story Mania, which is basically just a game. All you're doing is just shooting balls at objects, and you're getting points for it, so this ride is really just geared towards kids, so I didn't really care for this ride. I ran over to the Hollywood Tower of Terror next, and this is one of the few rides I actually remember going on when I went here last time, which was years ago. And I actually liked this ride. I liked the drop tower part. It was actually kind of scary. I got a thrill out of it. I headed back to Toy Story Land, where I was able to ride both the Alien Saucer ride and Slinky Dog Dash ride with my Lightning Lanes. And I'm gonna say they both are just for kids, and Slinky Dog Dash, that ride is overrated. I don't get why this ride is so packed all the time. There's better roller coasters here. I went on the Star Tours ride next, and I just hated this ride. I just really do not like 3D simulations at all, and this one was just terrible. It was just boring, and the ride is just shaking so much, and I was just banging against the wall. I hated this ride. So next up, I had to go on the Rise of the Resistance ride, and this is actually going to be the only ride in Hollywood Studios that's actually going to be a pain to get on. And the reason for that is I cannot get a single lightning lane on this. Now, the reason why I'm not able to use lightning lane on this ride is because there's no multi-pass offer for this ride. There's only a single pass offered for this ride, and I already used up all of my single passes for the day because there is a certain limit you can use. So what am I gonna do? My best option is to take the single rider's line on this. So in Rise of the Resistance, there's a pre-show to the ride, and that's gonna take a long time to do. But if you go on the single rider's line, you're able to skip this. So this cuts out a bit of time. Now, this may have been the best option, but unfortunately, this plan didn't work as well as I wanted it to. And the reason for that is because a lot of people just use the single rider's line anyways. Now, I've never actually been to this ride before, but apparently the pre-show is a really cool part to this entire experience. But the thing is, there's many people that just want to skip it and get straight on the ride, so I waited about 40 minutes either way. After finally getting off Rise of the Resistance, I ran straight over to the Millennium Falcon. And instead of using Lightning Lane here, I actually used the single rider because single rider is actually faster than using Lightning Lane on this ride. And that's because if you're in single rider, you're most likely going to be placed as the technician, which nobody wants to be the technician. Everybody wants to be the pilot or the gunner. The technician is a pretty lame role. All you're doing is just pressing buttons just to fix the ship. Now, of course, I'm in a challenge. I do not care what I get. I just have to ride the ride. And with that ride being done, we were now done with Hollywood Studios, so I ran straight back to my car and I was ready for Magic Kingdom. Once I got to the Magic Kingdom parking lot, I had to take a monorail because you do actually need to take a monorail to actually get inside the park. And at long last, we finally made it to the Magic Kingdom. It was about 6:50 when I arrived at the Magic Kingdom, and this was the last park I had to do. Now, the Magic Kingdom is the biggest park in Disney World. It has the most rides out of all the parks. Now, the good thing is I have the Lightning Lane Premier Pass on this park, so I'm able to get a Lightning Lane on every single ride here without a reservation. So this park's gonna be pretty easy. Well, kinda. This park is the most crowded out of all the parks. It was actually so annoying to traverse here. The first ride I went on was Tiana's Bio Adventure, and I think this was one of the best rides in the park. I didn't expect much out of this boat ride, but I was very wrong. This ride was actually around 7 minutes, which is not good for the speed run, but if the ride is good, I do not mind it being a little bit longer. And there's many drops in this ride, so I had fun with that. And next up, we had Jungle Cruise, which was also a pretty long boat ride. Honestly, the ride was solid. I mean, you're just watching some animatronics and you're also listening to the boat guys. Totally funny jokes. Next up, I went on the Aladdin Flying Carpet rides, and this was one of the kids' rides, so it's pretty quick, which is very great for the speed run. There's gonna be a lot of rides like this where I just breeze through it, so great for the speed run. I went on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride next, and this is one of the few rides I remember riding years ago when I went here, and you're basically just looking at animatronics. That's the whole thing. There's just a lot of animatronics, but it's pretty cool. I knocked out the Haunted Mansion ride next. That was another scary theme ride. I do prefer the Tower of Terror over this ride. This ride was just all right. Then I knocked out the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train ride, which was a roller coaster. I thought it was all right. It was nothing too crazy. Next up, I went on the Tomorrowland Speedway, one of the classics at Disney. One of the few rides I actually remember going on as a child. And oh me, oh my, driving this thing was a disaster. It is such a pain to even drive this thing, but it felt really great to be back on this ride again after so many years. Then I went on People Mover, which is a very long transport ride. Not much is happening on this ride other than it did break down on me. Next up, I went on Space Mountain, and I'm gonna be so honest, I don't remember anything about this ride. That must mean it wasn't that good. I'm joking. And next up, I went on Tron, and I was trying to figure out when I was actually gonna do this ride because the standby in this ride is absolutely ridiculous. It's like over 90 minutes for a regular standby. It only took about 15 minutes to get on this ride, which is not too bad, but for a Lightning Lane, I think this was the longest I had to wait in line line using a lightning lane. And I'm very happy to say I had a lot of fun on this ride, and I think this is the best ride in all of Disney World. I went on Astro Orbiter next, and I had to wait 10 minutes on this ride because there is no lightning lane on this ride, and it's just another kid ride, so it was okay. I then ran over to Barnstormer, and there's really nothing to say about this ride. This was a very underwhelming roller coaster. It was very short. And right next door was the Dumbo ride, which is a kid's ride, so it was very quick to knock out. I went on the Little Mermaid ride next, and the ride broke down midway through, and I'm just getting nervous at this point because I'm just trying to get this ride over with. I'm trying to get all rides over with, but luckily it didn't take too long to get back up, so I got through it. It is now about to be 11 p.m. when the park officially closes, so I'm trying to go really fast here. So I go on Winnie the Pooh next, and this ride took around 10 minutes to get on, even using a lightning lane, because the ride was just so packed. I'm starting to get really nervous as I only have 2 more hours left to ride all the rides, even though that should be plenty of time, but I'm just still nervous regardless, so I just want to get off this ride. After finishing that ride, I go to the Peter Pan ride, and this is where the park is officially closed, so now I'm relying on my extended evening hours. I also saw online you cannot use your lightning lane during extended evening hours, but the thing is, that was not true. I was able to use my lightning lane during extended evening hours. Honestly though, it doesn't even matter either way because extended evening hours are pretty slow. Like, most people are not doing it, so honestly it's just a win-win situation. I only have 3 more rides left to go on, and one of them is going to be Small World. And this was an interesting ride. There's just a lot of small people animatronics singing a song, and the song was stuck in my head for a little while after this, I'm not gonna lie. And next up, we have the Prince Charming Carousel. This is actually the oldest ride in Disney World, and I was gonna save this for last, but the thing was, this ride was just next to me, so there was no reason for me to backtrack. And with this ride being finished, we only have 1 more ride left to go on. I ran immediately after I got off that ride. I kept running. I did not care if my feet were in pain. I had to end this. And there it was. The Mad Tea Party. And man, I hate spinny rides, but I was ready to end this challenge. And I sat in that cup, and I wasn't too sure if I was gonna spin, but I decided to spin, just not too hard, because I do get motion sickness.
It's over.
And with that ride being done, I rode every single ride in Disney World in just one day. This day became the greatest day of my life. My feet hurt for about a week. I could barely walk for days. I'm not even kidding. And the walk back to my car was very slow. I was limping like a zombie, but I did not care anymore. I completed my task.
So I just got back in the car. I'm not using my camera. My phone is on 1% now. It is 12:43 right now. Honestly, I do not understand why I do not have a headache or I'm not a little dizzy or anything. I'm honestly feeling fine. The only problem is my feet and legs. Those are destroyed. Usually when I go to a theme park or any rides, you know, by the end of the day, I'm just gonna have a little headache usually. At least a little headache. Sometimes I may have a migraine. I do get a little bit of motion sickness, and I am just kind of shocked right now.
Well, I finally did it. I finally did the very stupid idea that I had for years. Was it worth it? No. And now I have to make monthly payments to Disney because of my annual pass when I'm probably not going back. All I got out of this was a calendar they sent me. Thanks, Disney.